I think the manufacturers did a disservice to themselves with this emissions control. I'm just gonna tell you right now, the amount of questions and the amount of hits I've been getting on this topic is insane. So I made a playlist and I'm gonna start filling it up with videos. This video is something that I put together because of a question that someone asked. I thought it was a really good question. If you're on a budget and you're thinking about doing a weight loss program, should you just go with the EGR first and wait on the exhaust? Or should you do the exhaust first and then wait on the EGR? Now I will say, based off of what I see online, the EGR is a lot harder to uninstall. I'm just gonna tell you right now, it's not easy. So when it comes down to this, let's kind of explain the differences and can you just do one or the other for now. Now in the last video, I did show you guys some of the big boxes I'm getting. So this is actually my downpipe. I thought that was my EGR, but no, this was the EGR. It came a couple days ago actually. So look at the quality of this stuff. You may not be able to see it. I can feel this thing feels nice. They did a great job. DieselR Corp. I'm telling you guys, if you're thinking about doing weight loss program, check out the promo code down below. These guys are a one-stop shop. They have the best tuning from what I've seen online. Some of the reviews I've been reading, I feel confident in what I'm doing here. So again, don't wait. If you're thinking about doing this, I'm telling you, things are starting to get on back order. I've had, just on my page alone, I've had 175 hits in 2 days. This stuff is gonna get on back order. So yes, go ahead and jump on it and let's have fun. So if you're someone looking to obviously do this, you've already looked at your laws and regulations in your area, or you're someone looking to use this for off-road purposes, right? So just keep these things in mind when I do these videos, okay? So what we're gonna do real quickly, I'm gonna quickly go through why we have emissions equipment on our trucks. They say that there's benefits to it. Lee Zeldin has pretty much rolled back a lot of these things, especially around greenhouse gases, for example. So you've heard of carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. These are some things that are produced by diesel exhaust. The biggest one that the EPA totes around back in the day was nitrous oxides and how harmful they are to us as humans and the environment. The next thing is particulate matter. This is another big one here. And one of the parts of the exhaust is the one that we all really hate. And it's supposed to catch and store some of that, which we'll read about here in a second. But let's talk about EGR. So it says here, exhaust gas recirculation is the recycling of gases for the purpose of displacing oxygen in the combustion chamber and lowering combustion temperatures in order to reduce nitrous oxide emissions. So in other words, EGR basically works like this. The exhaust that your truck creates from the combustion gets rerouted back into the combustion to burn off. So in other words, you're putting junk back in your engine to burn off. If you've never seen a EGR valve or cooler, how dirty they can become, the piping, everything that's tied to it gets full with soot. And they're saying that this is supposed to help the environment. And I understand that, yeah, it does get full of soot, but it also impacts our truck negatively as far as fuel economy, as far as high temperatures and potentially longevity of the engine. The next thing is diesel oxidation catalyst. So this here is basically like a catalytic converter, just wrapped up. I mean, if you want me to read it to you, I can. But if you want to read it, it's basically the catalytic converter for a diesel engine. It has precious metals like platinum to try to, help burn off some of the exhaust particulates. And then we have what's called, which is again the least favorite, diesel particulate filter. This is probably the biggest thing that people want to take off their truck, simply because of how much effect it has on our engines negatively and on your pocket. So a DPF, or diesel particulate filter, is an after treatment component that perpetually captures and stores particulate matter, soot, from the exhaust stream. Once the filter is determined to have reached a loading threshold, like full, it is cleaned through a process known as regen. Let me explain it to you in layman terms. When your truck goes into a regen, the gas that you pumped into the diesel that you pumped into your truck, it uses that same diesel to try to clean this stupid exhaust pipe, basically. So it stores up soot that it catches from the exhaust, and once it gets to a certain amount, it goes into a regen, and then it uses diesel, it sprays the diesel into that filter, it heats it up to like 1,000 to 1,200 degrees to get as much as that soot out of there. And therefore, you're using resources to clean a pipe that reality is should have been updated years and years ago. Like, they have not done anything to make these things more efficient, okay? And there's a passive regeneration, there's a active regeneration. Passive is obviously if you're just cruising down the highway and your engine gets to a certain temperature, it'll probably naturally just burn off a lot of that particulate matter. But an active regen is when your truck has to raise those temperatures to clean that DPF. And sometimes it can take 30 to 45 minutes, which means you're losing 3 to 4 mpg simply to get that, DPF clean. Now, if you're towing, the fuel economy difference is not as big, but unloaded is 3 to 4 mpg from what I've seen. And obviously another, hate is a diesel exhaust fluid. So this is something that you're seeing a lot of regulations being rolled back on. So DEF also goes by the slang term urea, derived from its active ingredient. As previously mentioned, it is 67.5% distilled water and 32% or 32.5% PP by volume. The seemingly odd ratio actually results in the lowest freezing point possible for the aqueous urea solution. It is clear and often gives off a pungent ammonia smell. DEF is also highly corrosive and should be handled with care. DEF should never be added to the fuel tank. This will result in severe fuel system damage and a hefty repair bill. So yes, when you are looking to do weight loss program, the idea is you're looking to take off, just for the exhaust, the DPF, the SCR, the DOC, and the DEF system, because there's obviously a injector for that as well that sprays DEF in the SCR, I believe. In the SCR? Yeah, it's in the SCR for the exhaust stream. And that's pretty much that part of it. So if you say that you want to take off your DPF, you have 3 ways to do that, which we'll explain in the future. So you're removing pretty much the entire exhaust for the emissions, okay? Now, if you just want to do the EGR delete, then you're basically able to do that. So you can do one or the other. If you're someone on the budget and you just want to start the process now just to kind of get, maybe you don't want the EGR, maybe you want the DPF and everything else there, but maybe you just want to get rid of that EGR because the EGR valve, and again, the recirculation of the exhaust, you want to get rid of that. So that is possible. Now, the only thing is, if you just want to keep your old exhaust, you would have to still unplug everything there because it won't be active. So in other words, it may make more sense just to wait to do all these things. Or again, I'm not saying you should do this because I would not do this. You could gut the entire OEM exhaust. Again, I highly recommend you don't do that, because if you ever decide this ain't for you, you can always put your old exhaust back on and just roll the truck as it was. Now, I'll be honest with you, most people aren't going to do that, but I would still put aside your stuff just in case you decide to sell your truck in the future. It's just nice to have every component with it still, workable on the truck. So yes, if you would like to do the EGR, it is possible. You're still going to have to get the truck tuned. You can't just take off the EGR without having the truck tuned. You're going to throw codes basically. So everything that you do take off during a weight loss program has to be accounted for. So again, you're still going to have to unplug everything, okay? But you can run the truck without those systems and just leave the exhaust on. Maybe you're someone who's like, you know what, I don't know if I want to do a race pipe, 4-inch exhaust or 5-inch exhaust. So you want to take time to do your research and then save up some money to do that in the future. But the EGR will probably take 3 to 4 hours, I would say, to get taken off. And we'll show you guys taking it off and show you how to clean it, things like that. And then the same thing goes for the exhaust. The exhaust can probably take 2 hours. Now on the Duramax, you do have the up pipes that you have the option to do, and we'll discuss that as well. It's not necessary though. If you want to keep your factory up pipes, that is something you can do. I will say though, depending on the year of your truck, I've heard that those up pipes are prone to fail. So if you're someone that's doing this right after the warranty's up, you might want to go ahead and replace those up pipes sooner than later. So I hope this was helpful. I hope I answered the question. Obviously, if you go on the DieselR Corp, they have a ton of stuff on their website. My camera's about to die, hold on one second. But yes, DieselRcorp.ca. You guys will see it down below. My promo code's there if you would like to get a small discount on their products. Use it while you can. Last thing I'll say is, after thinking about this a little bit, it might be better just to do the exhaust first, simply because if you just did the EGR, you still have the DPF down there, so you would have to gut it actually. So no, you cannot do the exhaust without, or you cannot do the EGR without the exhaust. You can, however, do the exhaust without the EGR because you're just basically turning off the EGR. So then you would just have to take out all the piping and everything for it, and then it's gone. But yeah, I would venture to say do the exhaust first. So you can just do a race pipe. That's the cheapest way to go, and we'll discuss all this in the future. I have all my exhausts back there, so I'll let you guys know what I went with. And yeah, like I said, I'm excited. Hopefully you guys will like the journey. I'm gonna do my next video here showing you the E42 uninstall out of the truck and how I shipped it out to the tuner to unlock it. You're gonna see all these things. It's gonna be really detailed. I'm gonna try my hardest to show everything and answer every question to make this easy and simple. See you guys in the next video.